All right, good morning. So I'm going to talk about twin flames and I'm going to talk about readers because sometimes cheaper is just cheaper. And just like a cheap haircut. Sometimes getting a cheap haircut is you're going to win, and sometimes you're not. And I'm going to tell you a story about what happened to me when I was really first realizing that this was a twin flame journey. And again, you have to remember that we met when I was 18 and he was 33. So this has been a long journey, and I've gone through every aspect of the twin flame journey you can fathom. In fact, many of you are far, far from all of the things that I've gone through. Far from it. Many of you just started 2 years ago, 5 years ago, some of you even 10 years ago. And still, I've gone through every aspect of the twin flame journey. So as a reader, as a psychic, and doing this for a long time, like helping my clients navigate the twin flame journey, and not just that, other things, but, we're talking about twin flames today. I can tell you that in my most desperate dark night of the soul, because readers sometimes can't read for themselves. And at the time, I'd gone through a separation in 2008. We weren't together at all. We had just been talking. And I went to a very well-known psychic. Cost a lot of money. And very famous on YouTube, actually. And he said that somebody else was a twin flame. He almost thought it was me. And then he decided, no, it's got to be this other person. Then he proceeded to tell me that my twin flame and this person were looking to move in together. And they were going to do X, Y, and Z. Well, it never happened. None of that happened. What happened is that the synchronicity of numbers, of names, and if you knew my twin flame's name, you'd be shocked. Because it's not Bob and it's not Jeff. It was a name that he was initiated in India. It was a very unusual name, and I was seeing it here, there, and whatever. I was seeing it in Southern California at the time. That's where I lived. And the synchronicities were insane. And long story short, that psychic was wrong. Completely wrong. In fact, for about, I'd say 2 or 3 months, they threw me off my track. And then finally, I realized that this was all bullshit and that they didn't know what they were talking about. When I read for a client, I have an 80 percentile success rate in determining if it's a twin flame, number one. If I'm not sure, I do it again and again and again. And if I'm not sure and I'm just not getting what I'm looking for, I'm not getting the downloads, the connections, the synchronicity I'm looking for, because, usually I do the numerology and all of that. I will actually ask, but do they have a twin flame? That's usually the question asked. But, okay, so we're asking about Bob. Bob's not the twin. It's not coming up as a twin. Let me ask if there's a twin, if you have a twin in this incarnation. And 9 times out of 10, boom, there it comes. Everything I'm looking for. I had a client recently, that's exactly what happened. I said, he's not your twin. This is a high-level soulmate. You've got a lot of unfinished business. In fact, during the ascension, you have a lot of shit to do with this person. And when you're done, this twin could be a twin ray, actually. Or you'll be like on the preschool level of twin ray. But the twin, let me just say twin flame, just for the lack of, because I don't want to give you high hopes. And we both know the difference, right? You and me, as I'm talking to you. You know the difference between ray and flame. Flame is some massive karma that needs to be burned. Massive triggering, massive karma, massive pain, unresolved in this life, past lives. They sometimes shadow your parents, your mother wound, your father wound. It's a shit show. And you do the same for them. So when I do a reading where it's not like a slam dunk, then my process is to ask, is there a twin? Sometimes there isn't, to be honest. Some people don't have a twin. Is there a twin? Sometimes there isn't, to be honest. Some people don't have a twin in this incarnate. They just don't. And it's not like having, and I don't know why people want a twin flame. Because all my clients who have a twin flame beg the universe to please bring them someone else, that this can't continue. The pain is too much. So for those of you who want a twin flame, like a fake Birkin bag, you know, a Birkin, that kind of thing, you're barking up the wrong tree. If you don't have a twin flame in this incarnation, if you don't have a twin period, right? It could be that you're working towards, and you're in separation with your twin. Let's just put it that way. And this is going to be confusing, but just stay with me. Could be you're going to be in separation in multiple incarnation, that you do have a twin, but they're not ready to meet you at all. And all the karmic shit that you have to work, you've got to do alone with high-level soulmates and soulmates, beloveds. And then when you're ready, you've ascended to a high level of ascension where you're no longer a match to 3D planet Earth. You'll be in union with a twin ray, which you should want above all else. You should want that. And there's nothing wrong with that, actually. There's everything right for that. And we're so like connected to these incarnations, like this particular one, like my incarnation as this woman that I am today, speaking to you right now, right? Like I had to break away from the idea that this woman who I embody is my everything, is my entire identity. And it's not. I've been a man, I've been a warrior, I've been a farmer, I've been a woman, a high priestess, a whore. I've been all these things. And each personality that I identified with was my identity, and I clung to it. Which is part of the suffering I think Buddha was talking about. Holding on to impermanence. So the personality you embody, that's not to say your soul isn't your soul. You know, some souls are mischievous. Some souls are much more serious, much more analytical. Even souls can be analytical, believe it or not. And some souls are playful. And so there's that. But the identity, you know, this avatar we take on, the sheath that we embody, right? When we slip into these, I hate to use the term blood and bone situations, right? Avatars. Kind of filter all of that truth of our soul's light. Which brings me to the point that many of you don't like your twin, but you love your twin. And you love your twin because your soul recognized their soul, right? But they're assholes, and you know it. So what you're holding on is you're holding sacred space for the soul to emerge out of this avatar so that you can really freely love this person. And when they emerge, you're hoping when they emerge out of this avatar, right, the flesh and bone sack, that they will see you and value you and cherish you and choose you. And so very interesting. I think it's very interesting because that's what you're holding space for. And it's hard because when you are in the amnesia state of these incarnations in the density of 3D, you forget everything. There's a lot of reasons why we're programmed to forget. So we can move on freed from any of this, memories, you know what I mean? Maybe we're going to be less judgmental, or we're not going to, like I wrote a book on called Recall, right? And in the book in Recall, I'm not going to give it away in case you want to buy it. It's on my profile page on my Linktree. But Recall talks about a woman in the 1990s who starts remembering a past life with her twin. And she starts excavating the fact that the man she loves, the man she sleeps with, the man she's crazy about, in a past life did something unbelievably unforgivable. The whole book is about forgiving the unforgivable. Okay, it's erotic as fuck. It's based on my own experiences. And it was banned by TikTok because it's erotic as fuck, irreverent, and it says, and it exposes the unforgivable act. It's not your basic erotica. So my point is the amnesia is that you may be in bed with the very person that stabbed you. I mean, quite literally, in the back, in 2 incarnations previous to that one. And you're making love to them like it's, like they're cake, like they're shanti, licking them from head to toe. And if you remember that this is the person that betrayed you, you'd be fucking horrified. But there are multiple layers. It's very complex, these incarnations, massively complex. Because now you're in bed with this person, making love to them. They're making love to you. And if you remembered that they did that to you in 2 lives back or 1,000 years before, whatever, you'd run. And you'd be right to, technically. But there's karma to be, do you understand, burned? What led to that, stabbing in the back? What led to that? What were all the nuances that led to that moment? And that needs to be healed and forgiven. And sometimes you will never know, but you will heal the relationship. It will have, in other words, you'll be with that person for 5 years. You'll try to work it out. You might fail. You might win. If you win, either way, the relationship has 5 years. It has an expiration date. You'll divorce or separate, whatever. And if you fail, what will be important for you is to work all of this gunk out of yourself so that even without them, you can forgive them, you can let them go, and the karma falls away. That link, that tie, that bond that brought you back together. And you will not meet them again until they're frequency matched. It means they have to work on their own shit. They had an opportunity to work it out with you. Together you could have healed this. You failed, okay? But instead of you resenting the relationship and holding a grudge, revengeful attitude, you've moved on to high ground. You've ascended from this relationship, and the karmic tie has fallen away. The chains are gone. Or you win. Both of you are in this relationship together. You realize that, it's come to an ending. You'll see actually people doing divorce ceremonies where they part ways, and it's very beautiful, and their friends are there, and it's almost like a celebration of, I loved you. I'll always love you. It didn't work out, but I still love you. There's a part of me that I'll always, and the karma just falls away. It's however your situation is going to be. So for some of you, and I know this happened to me personally, I had a man, I've talked about him many times, and I did a little game early last year where I said, I literally shared the entire story on a live one day. Then I asked the question, everyone, was it a twin? They all said yes, and it wasn't at all, not, far from it. But I had a connection with a man who was the precursor to something. It was like I had karma to burn with him. And thank God he did not become my lover, this, that. I mean, there's none of that. Because I'm a psychic, I pick up on all the nuances, and I'm like, I'm not going for the okie doke of, oh my God, I've never felt that way before. I went straight to my hypnotherapist, like, what the fuck is this? Because at the time I was married, what the fuck is this? So 4 lifetimes, 5 since we have to say suicides. No, not 5, excuse me, 4. And I went, okay, whoa, fuck. This is not about sexuality. Sexuality makes sense because we were lovers in all of these 4 past lives, so that makes sense. But I'm not playing this out again. I need to burn that karma. The pull that brought us together, and the most karma. The pull that brought us together in the most unreal way. Like, there was no reason for me to meet this man. It was so fucking random. It was stupid. But the energy was incredibly powerful. He felt it, I felt it. But the energy was unfinished business. Sure, there was sexual chemistry, this, that, and the other. And probably one of my, he could have been one of my lower soulmates, okay? And I'm not going to say high-level soulmates. I'm going to say lower-level soulmates. But when that was over, and by the way, that was not a catalyst twin. That's another term that annoys the fuck out of me. A lot of these terms are stupid. This was not a catalyst twin. because it wasn't a twin. There you go. What it was is I needed to burn karma to be freed to then come back to my twin. Because in 2008 we were talking this and that. We broke up, and I was actually in between and betwixt my husband handling my marriage, which was not which was not successful. I'm just gonna be, and then my twin was in the mix for about 4 months of conversations, like 6-hour long conversations on the daily. Imagine, from like midnight to like 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm not joking. So what I'm going to say to you is that these connections and this idea that when you look in the mirror, you actually believe in the dog and pony show, these incarnations. You kind of like have to look in the mirror and really look into your eyes. That's why I have a guided meditation on eye gazing with the beloved, which is you, so that you can actually peel the veils of the egoic framework that you embody today, which is an illusion, and move that away, slide that away, and you look into your soul, which happens after, I've noticed it's about 8 minutes is what I see typically. And you see who you are, really who you are. And what stares back at you is very calm. It's analyzing you, it's witnessing you. And it's a sobering moment. So when you go to a reader, right? This is all the things I just shared with you. When you go to a reader who's just reading the cards and not reading energy, they're not clairvoyant, clairsentient, clairaudient. It's not just the cards you read. It's not just the numerology. It's the energy, it's the downloads, it's what you're being shown, because you are tapping at the door of the Akashic record keepers. You are kind of like going, listen, I need some assistance here. Because it's a big fucking question. When a client comes to me and says, I want to know if this is a twin flame, that's a big question. It's a massive pivot, because if it's not, they have to reorganize their ideas. And most twin flames, I've noticed, have certain characteristics. They love unconditionally. They hold sacred space. They do not hate the woman or man their twin is married to. They do not hate. If the person that they're married to is toxic, they hold sacred space for their twin. But there's no revenge. There's no going after the person. There's no trying to ruin anyone's life. And they definitely don't hate the kids that the twin has with another person. In fact, they love those kids as if they were their own. Those are some of the things that twins all share in common. You see what I'm saying? There's no vengeance. And so I've seen people come in with a massive toxic arrogance. Yeah, that's my twin, and he's married to a bitch. She's a karmic, and fuck those kids. I'm not joking. I don't actually work with people like that. I don't want to, because that's not the consciousness of a twin. Number one, right off the bat, it screams fraud. It screams massive fraud. Can there be like a competition? Pick me, and realizing that the twin is not good for the person. You know how you can tell? I did a reading with a client last night, and we saw the picture of her twin before he ever met the woman he's married to. He was in good shape. His eyes were open. He looked maybe, I'd say, 7 years younger than his age. Okay. And there's a picture of Christmas, today, like a couple days ago, right? And he's been having problems with one eye. He had to go into surgery for that one eye. And usually what that means is, I don't want to see the truth, which he doesn't. The woman he's married to looks like shit. She's skinny. She's got dark circles under her eyes. And he has gained like 40 pounds and he cannot let it slide off his body. He is miserable. They are twin flames. I don't care if they're fighting. Look amazing together. That's something that I'm going to say. They look amazing together. When they're together, the nectar of being together co-creates a glow up. That's another sign. Okay? And it's not temporary. It's every time. And some of the magic together, like some of the things they're able to manifest with ease is shocking. It's supernatural. So this is something that a good reader, a good psychic will understand. But just like you can't go to a therapist and talk about your twin flame journey, because let's be honest, most of you will think you're going crazy anyway. You can't go to a reader who is not in a twin flame journey. You can't. And you got to make sure that they've been in some level of connection, meaning they've lived with their twin. I'm sorry, but that's, to me, that's a minimum. You've never lived with your twin is a red flag to me. That how can you possibly give me advice? You've never lived with your twin. You've never dealt with runner chaser. You've never dealt with all of the nuance of a day-to-day life with your twin. So how the fuck are you going to give advice to me if you haven't even done that basic thing? And this is something that I'm seeing happening with ease across the twin flame coaching dynamics. Okay? That's a big deal. The twin flames and twin rays I looked up to when they were alive, when they were together. We're all living together. That to me is just basic shit. Because the day-to-day gives you wisdom as to what triggers a situation. Day-to-day living. Day-to-day living with any human being. This is why I give advice to people. I say, within 6 months, if you're not living together, and you're, oh my God, why 6 months? Because you need to know the shit in 6 months, because you don't have fucking 60 years to figure out if the person's an asshole or not. That's why. So within 6 months, you live together, and within like a month, you're like, oh fuck. Yeah, you're supposed to. Instead of dating for fucking, and I've met so many people who dated 5 years of dating. What are you, 12? 5 years a day. I even met a woman once who had dated for 17 years when I was working for Psychic Source. 17 years of dating? And you're frustrated because he won't make a commitment? Dude, he's dating other people as well. You're dating. You're not living together. So the nuances on just soulmates or basic karmies, I'm just calling that for this purpose of this conversation. You know I don't like that term because we're all karmic, or else we wouldn't be here. But when you see your basic, Joe Schmo situation relationships, when they move in after like usually 3 or 4 months, they want out because it's not a match. It's not a match at all. Because suddenly now maybe the guy's into Sunday night football and you're like losing your mind because of the fucking noise. Maybe the guy's has the night out with his guys every Wednesday and Friday night, and it's a habit and he won't let it go. Maybe he's a pig and he leaves everything on the floor, and now you're like becoming his maid. Yeah, you're saying, yeah, I'm out. I'm not doing this. This is not what I wanted to. This is not what I signed up for. And that gives you a quick overview of how the dynamics would fail or work. Or you're with a wonderful man, where he keeps the house clean, you keep the house clean. You guys make love. It's fantastic. When you argue with civility and compassion. And you get to the bottom of it. You don't just start throwing off shit from the past. You argue with integrity, with justice for the both of you. You're not bringing up shit that happened a year ago. That has nothing to do with the argument right now. So all these things make you decide, oh yeah, this is a match. I could see this. My God, I could see this person being my companion, my lover, my beloved for my entire life. I could see that. That doesn't come from dating for 5 years. It comes from living with a person. So when a twin flame coach hasn't even lived with their twin, like that's a red flag to me. It's like, what? And so that is something that you may want to look at when you're looking for coaches or things of that nature. And I didn't intend to talk about it on that level, but it is important, actually, come to think of it. It's very important that you work with people that are on the journey on a daily, day by day by day. And they know that in a twin flame journey, the triggers that you thought you had healed are coming up. Some new shit is coming up out of nowhere, and you thought this was done, and it's not. For whatever reason, because it's all personal for every human being. Every twin flame has a personal journey, just like we all have our own thumbprint. So we are thumbprinted with our own twin flame journey based on our own past lives, our own trajectory of our desires to what we wanted to accomplish in this incarnation when we decided to actually be with our twin in this particular incarnation. And let me just note and give you some understanding that for many of our incarnations, like the one where I was with that guy, I had these 4 incarnations where, suicide happened. Yeah, that was, my twin was nowhere to be seen in that incarnation. Nowhere to be seen. Some of my incarnations with my high-level soulmate, one of my high-level soulmate, twin flame was nowhere to be seen. Nowhere. And so when I was dropping my body, I'm assuming, rightly so, that it was like passing the baton. Okay, dude, your turn. And he would come in and have his incarnations and his experiences. And then every blue moon, we go, okay, let's go in together and see what happens. You've learned this, I've learned that. Let's meet on the planet, and somehow our frequency will be so magnetic that we will meet. We will be drawn to each other. Let's see what we do with that. And the beautiful thing about the ascension is that the amnesia is now gone. I remember him, I finally found the book he sent me. In 2008, when we first got together, he sent me the book Only Love is Real by Brian Weiss, a story of soulmates reunited, because that was the book they had. And he knew we were important soulmates. He knew it. And throughout the book, he's got little notes. I remember everything. I now know who you are. Things like that, right? So he was declaring the connection before I declared it. So yeah, men can actually be the ones who initiate saying, hey, we're bonded. We're more than what we thought we were. So from the time I was 18 to the time I was 33 to the time I was in my mid 40s, right, to the time he was in his early 60s, right, we went through another separation. I was the runner not because I was there was some aspects of him that I wasn't ready for, but I had my focus was on my marriage, and not so much my marriage, my son. I knew the marriage was fucked, but I had my son, okay? And that was my concentration. So when your twin is turning their back on you, it isn't always because they're afraid of you, or they don't have time for the Mary Poppins, wedding ring bullshit. They don't have time for that because they're trying to raise kids that are coming to an age which is very dangerous, sensitive, whatever the fuck. Okay? And you should admire that in your twin. You should go, my God, what a good father, what a good mother. She actually is choosing her kids over me, as she should, or he should, to be honest. That shows integrity, honor, loyalty, love. They don't have time for you right now. They can't right now. They're not choosing the person they're married to. God forbid. That's not what they're choosing. They're choosing their kids. Into the person they're married to. God forbid. That's not what they're choosing. They're choosing their kids. In some cases, they're choosing their ego. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be wrong. Meaning, I married her. I popped a kid with her. Damn it if I'll admit that I fucked up. Damn it if I'll admit that. There is some aspect in some twins where there is an ego play. I'll agree. But for the most part, what I've seen isn't that. So if I'm going to give you a percentage, 30% are ego plays. 70% these people are trying to figure out, what do I fucking do? I don't want to lose my kids. Especially men. Especially men. Because if they were the whack job, your basic karma, again, using that word for this conversation, and she's going to manipulate the kids against him, and he will lose connection with his kids. If he's a good man, right, a good father, a good man, he doesn't want to lose his kids. So he's going to plot out, okay, I need to if I could just do the first until they're 16 or 17. And then I'll get my own apartment or whatever. I'll move in with you or whatever. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So you got to how do I put this? A transcendental twin flame feminine, for example, will understand that. Will understand that. There are situations, there's a situation I'm thinking of right now where the twin flame masculine is so up his ass, he can't think or see. And if he was with his twin right now, he'd be better off financially. His kids would be better off. Yeah, there would be a pocket of bullshit, of darkness, of fighting, of slinging. The kids would try to fuck shit up. Don't get me wrong, it would be bad. But at some point, knowing this particular twin I'm thinking of, things would recalibrate, and actually there'd be a new, beautiful, healing dynamic with this twin who would be their stepmom, but who would be a good, in fact, she'd be better than the mother. I'm just saying that. I'm not, because I've read for this person. She'd be better for that person, for these children. But that's rare. That's rare. Sometimes the twin flame is married to a high level soulmate, and there's a beautiful bond. They love you. And this is why I did these videos that actually went viral. When you love them both. When you love them both. And that happens. And I was in that situation, actually. Because my at the time, my husband was my high level soulmate. But the karmic, the karma, the bond on that level of beloved is done in this incarnation. It is actually completed because of my ascension with my twin. And when I say ascension, I'm still in process, just on the side note. But what I mean is I'm in the process. And this ascension has cut a karmic bond that would require me to be back with this high-level soulmate as a beloved. There is no need for him to be my beloved. There's no need for me to be his beloved. We've grown out of that need for this particular relationship. If we incarnate again, he's most likely going to be my brother like he was before, my sister, my mother, my father, or I will be their parent or best friend. Something was healed. And that's good. That's a success. Because there was no hate in the end. There was no hate at all. There was a lot of massive forgiveness. Massive, massive, massive forgiveness. Because the world is hard. I did a whole thing on 18-year-olds and being thrown on the streets, and toxic parents. Toxic parents can be really, really, really so damaging to the beginning life. Imagine the first 18 years of a person's life where they fucked up alcoholic or abusive narcissistic parents. It will, no shit. You're surprised that you have a runner chaser dynamic? Are you kidding? And the fact that these coaches talk about, well, if it was your twin, it wouldn't be like that. Really? Oh, my twin walks on water. He has the Immaculate Conception. His mother is Mother Mary. Okay, thank you. So there's no karmic bonds. There's no toxic loops. Because, my twin's my twin, and twins don't do that. Twins do a lot of shit because twins ultimately are human beings. They're having a human experience. The first 5 years of their life was fucked up. This is why I actually recommend the movie, believe it or not, as a complete, it's a kind of a shocker because the movie is, I would say it's a murder mystery, but it's also about telepathy. And it's about, in my opinion, a twin flame journey. That's really, really bad. Really bad. And it's called The Eyes of Laura Mars. The Eyes of Laura Mars. It was made in 1970s, Faye Dunaway and Tommy Lee Jones. It's actually a really good movie, especially if you're into New York fashion, this, that, and the other. You'll love it. But it's a murder mystery. And the end is a shocker. It's a fucking I remember watching it 2 or 3 times. Going, holy fuck. A karmic relationship, so that you have contrast. I remember my son was asking me, what do you think of blah, blah, blah? And I went, watch the movie Body Heat with William Hurt and Kathleen Turner. Watch that movie. That's a karmic. And this is where lust gets confused with a soul bond. That's a karmic. There's no soul bond. It's all illusionary. It's all manipulation and massive. It's like the height of, what is the word I want to use? Narcissism. before people were throwing around the word narcissism. Yeah, and it's under the film noir. So you've got Body Heat and you've got The Eyes of Laura Mars. You can watch this weekend. Okay, those are incredible movies, by the way, incredibly well written. So the aspect and the confusion of many of these coaches that say, yeah, if it's not your twin, this and that, your twin wouldn't do X, Y, and Z. That's again damaging, because it makes you believe that that's not your twin. And the psychic who told me it was not my twin, right? This was a long time ago, like I said, and very well known psychic on YouTube, very well known, so top dollar, and they didn't know what they were fucking talking about, because these synchronicities were insane. And one of the aspects of twin flames is when you're walking away from your twin flame, meaning emotionally or even physically, the numbers start hitting, boom, boom, boom. You're like, what the fuck? They won't stop. It's every hour. And that is another sign. Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are you going? This is your twin. Where are you going? So cheap isn't good either. $30 readings. Do you really think you're going to get a story, or do you think you're going to get a little? It's like getting bubble gum with a nickel. It's weird too, because if I wanted to find out the truth, I would go to someone who I feel is going to give me the answer that is the truth, not what I want to hear, not what they think I want to hear, the fucking truth, irregardless of how it's going to affect you. That's why I do a pre-call. Just on the side note, I do a pre-call to make sure that this person wants the truth. If she wants, and I've had clients who literally, no, I just want to, okay, well, I'm not your psychic then, because I'm here to tell you the truth. I will not take on karma for anyone and lie to them or tell them what they want to hear. This is karma I will not take. It's not worth it for me. You know what I mean? I have enough karma I'm trying to drop. Why would I take on karma for a 1 hour client? That's ridiculous. Never. So if you are looking for truth, we can excavate it together, and we'll look at what is the deal. And then you can say, oh, it's my twin. Oh, fuck. I've had clients literally say, please, God, please tell me it's not my twin. And I've had to say, it's your twin. Trust me. I've had clients who did not want it to be your twin. I've had clients who did not want it to be their twin at all. And I've had to deposit the truth at their feet and go, I'm really sorry. So now let's see if he's going to wake up or she's going to wake up. Let's see if your twin has to wake up. Your twin cannot be in 3D. You will not make it in this incarnation. You won't if they're in 3D. And that's why I talk about teaching, not chasing. These are all the things because that's the only way it's going to work. I was very lucky because my twin was already in 4D. Do you know what I'm saying? But still, clearly there must have been some problems, right? There was some denied shadows, massive toxic regrets, looping habits, which created addiction, which created impulsivity, which created situations where the person, my twin in this case, didn't even remember some of the shit he had done. Not to me personally, but to other people in situations, to be honest. And I found, and by the way, it wasn't a crazy shit. It was like sometimes it was just pot. But pot to a level where he was, oh, I'm high. It's one thing to be high here and there, but not on the daily, like punching a clock, for Christ's sake. But I could share stories, but instead I'm going to write a book on this. Because I think people need to know the entire ugly truth, the beautiful, transcendental truth of twin flames, those moments, the nectar of these incredible moments where, for some reason, maybe in the quiet moments that you have together, the egoic framework of yours and his personality falls away and the souls shine through, and it's mind-blowing. It's like watching a sunrise, the most perfect sunrise on a beach or a mountaintop. It's almost like it brings you to tears. And those moments is what keeps you tethered to your twin, because you know that they are an elegant soul, a beautiful soul, And then here comes the avatar appearing with their bullshit, and you're like, what the fuck? In their vulgarity, perhaps, in their ignorance, in their arrogance, whatever it is. And it keeps you tethered because that nectar. You're not codependent. There's another thing that's going around. Again, content creators talking about how twin flames are codependent. We are the least codependent motherfuckers on this planet. I'll tell you why. Because we go through runner chases, because we have to be alone more often than not. We have to sit alone and deal with our shit and deal with why is he or she doing this? Why am I triggered by this? Why can't I let them go? And you go deeper and deeper and deeper in your soul's caverns, forgotten truths, forgotten things that you went through. Sometimes it comes to you in a whole entire past life. Maybe you remember, I don't know, 15% of it, but you remember. And you realize, I got to heal that. I got to let go of that. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I'm looping. We're doing this again. I had a client once who, this was before I got my certification as a hypnotherapist, and she was with this really good looking guy, and she was biracial, and he looked Nordic. He was 6'2". He was beautiful. She was beautiful. And she was hoping to have more. They date and they would have these amazing getaways. He was rich. And he did not want her to get pregnant no matter what, no matter what, no matter what. And she was, in her mid 30s. You know how that goes. And he was in his late 40s and he had a teenage son and he didn't want to get. And I told her, listen, you need to find out what the hell that looping is because I feel like it's a loop, on a psychic level. So she went to my hypnotherapist in Pasadena, California. She came back to me and said, I lived in New Orleans. I was his mistress. And I kept having to get rid of the baby. He would not let me have any babies with him. He was married, he had children. I was his mistress, and he would not let me have babies. And I went, well, there you go. Bingo. You're looping. So what are you going to do? And after about 18 months, they broke up, and that was the end of that relationship. That was the end. All her hair fell out. I'm not joking when I say that. The grief was so intense, her hair fell out. And circumstances led to another situation where her sister needed a home to stay, and she had a 6-year-old boy, that her nephew, and she ended up having them move in with her. And she's been the auntie to her nephew. That is the boy she's supposed to raise. And she's become a devout celibate. But for a while, she was dating, skanking, drunk, bar hopping. She was going through it. And finally, she came to peace with it all. Never to see him again. Was he a twin flame? Fuck no. Did you notice? Never to see him again. No. He was not her twin flame. It was probably a high-level soulmate. And she ended the cycle. The looping of, because she could have decided, well, I'm going to try. Maybe if I get pregnant, he'll want it. And she was like, no, I'm not doing that because I'm not going to abort anything. So I'm going to, unless he changes and he says, yes, let's do it. If that happens, great. I'll be happy to stand with you and maybe we'll get married, this and that or whatever. But no, it was an adamant no. And she knew he was serious. And so she was like, okay, well, I'm serious too. Bye. And she broke the cycle. That's how you break karmic cycles. And my twin has been my mistress, and I can't live that way. Well, good for you for finally divorcing, Jake. Congratulations for making the final move. That's good. I've never been with my twin for more than 24 hours at a time. As soon as we spend one night, he runs away. Yeah, we refuse to settle ever. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm going to just be honest with you. They can drive you crazy. Exactly. So, for example, my twin passed away, right? My twin passed away in July. And there's no way I'm going to be with someone else. I still connect with my twin through my meditations. I still have dialogue. I part the veils. I'm lucky that way. I'm able to do that. Thank God. If I didn't do that, I would probably be a mess. I grieve. Don't get me wrong. I'm not made out of rock. But I'm able to communicate. The communication, the relationship is continuing. It's ongoing. It's just transformed. However, am I going to go dating and in 2 or 3 years meet other? No, I refuse. I'm not into it at all. Not at all. And there are other ways to keep yourself in your root. And there are other ways to keep yourself in your root chakra, being sexually active with anyone else. Do you understand? So I know of women who are absolutely moist, delicious. They're goddesses. They're gorgeous. And they have been celibate for 12 years, 15 years, and you never know it. They look better than women who are supposedly married. Do you understand? It's energy. It's like using your root chakra and all of your chakras and keeping them um, light, clear, and bright. And it's still new for me, the separation on that level, but it is not. And don't get me wrong, I have moments where I'm like, oh my God, I miss the nectar of your touch. I tell them that on the other side of the veils. But I can tell you that there's nothing like it. And the reason why many of you are not going to find the direction you need from a therapist, I mean, I'm not here to dissuade you. Go into therapy, don't get me wrong. But if your therapist starts looking at you like you're crazy, that's not the right therapist. You need a therapist who's done Aya, the grandmother medicine, things of that nature. You need a therapist who can be transcendental with you. They might not have been in a twin flame, right, as a therapist, but they're neutral enough and non-judgmental enough to get you. But for a reader, psychic reader, they better fucking be in a journey. Okay? Because if they have not lived with their twin, been with their twin, there's a particular person I'm thinking of who's massive, right? And I'm not going to say their name because that's but she has been with her twin twice. And she's developed a whole coaching business around twin flames over that. That's insane. Disrespectfully, she doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. She doesn't know anything about twin flames. That's why she's saying, well, block him. Well, just block him, just ghost him. What? What? Why? Because he did it to you? Because is it even a twin flame? Are the synchronicities there? That's the question. Does that make sense? That's the question. And my twin is also married. I don't know what's going to happen. I was saying we refuse to settle on the codependency conversion. Absolutely. There's no codependency. Trust me. None of us as twins. Once you go through the dark night of the soul, you have been reset. You are not going to be codependent. You become hyper independent and you demand more from your twin. That's one of the reasons why twin flames are also so triggering for each other. One of the twins is always the mentor and the elder, if you know, the caretaker, the one who holds sacred space, the one who will be the healing energy, right? And that is a truth. One of the twins is on a lower level of consciousness. That is a truth. And because there's this imbalance of power quite often, right? And they are coming from a lower fear-based knee-jerk reaction to certain things, they're going to deny the connection. And they're going to go and talk about this connection to other people who think you're fucking crazy, you're obsessed. I hate the word limerence. I hate that word. It's such a stupid word. I love obsession. Obsession is a perfect word. That's what it is. And they think they're confusing your relationship, like watch the movie Body Heat. That's not what you're going through. Because I can tell you, and I don't want to give away the movie, but I can tell you towards the end, at some point, beyond the movie's ending, he's going to wake up and realize it was an obsession. It could have been soulmates, but it was still an obsession. And twin flames, it's beyond that. It's an unconditional love that no one can explain. They think you're welcome mat. They don't realize your strength. You're not a welcome mat. In this incarnation, you've learned unconditional love. The kind of unconditional love that a good mother or father would give to their child. And notice I said good mother or father. No conditions. I said good mother or father. No conditions. An extraordinary mother or father. No conditions. And so that's what you're learning. You're learning because it's a little shock you. You're like, this MFR, if anyone had pulled that shit on me, your ass would be on the fucking streets, my friend. You think I'm going to take shit from anyone? But somehow, with the twin flame, you forgive. And it annoys the shit out of you. I forgave this. I would never forgive this. And yet, here you are forgiving. That is a twin flame. It is not an obsession. It is not, you're not a welcome mat. You're not codependent. You're definitely not stupid, because you've kicked people to the curb for less than that, much less than that. Just because they sucked their teeth, you threw them to the curb. Just because they wore their shirt out of their pants, you threw them to the curb. Does that make sense? So it's not because you have high tolerance and you're dumb. It's because something, and you're sitting back witnessing, going, what the hell is wrong with me? That's one of the signs of a twin flame. It may not happen immediately where you forgive them. And you'll know, yes, it's over, finally, good. It's over, finally. And then weeks will elapse and you'll go, fuck. You realize, I've forgiven them. It'll come to you. I've forgiven them. I want to know why you would do something so self-destructive. Why you would put our relationship in jeopardy. Why are you throwing everything at our relationship to destroy it? And that's what twin flames do. Because you're demanding from them what you know they have in them. And there are three things going on. They don't feel worthy, self-loathing. They don't want to do the excavation it would take to rise out of the ashes of their own self-destructive behaviors because they're scared. And they resent the shit out of you for making them feel as if they need to be better than this, and making them self-aware that they are playing small and they are playing on the lowest level of their own frequency. And so they might actually hate you for it. Because now you're reminding them that what they've settled for, a fucked up marriage, a loveless marriage, a marriage that has no great sex, no great conversation, ease, you guys call it chemistry. It's more than that. And you're making them realize that they're playing way, way on the lowest scale of small. Micro. A small life with no passion, no challenges, no fire, no life, no courage. Just your presence, just you breathing in the same room. I'm not fucking being funny when I say that. I mean it quite literally. That's why people love The Notebook. What do you want? In the rain. What do you want? Right? In the rain. That's why people love that scene in The Notebook. And it's that self-lobotomy of one of the twin flames because of the trauma of their early child. It goes back to childhood. And maybe not just this one. And I did a whole, please watch my 15 minutes on toxic parenting. I'm not joking. Because I explain why we end up with toxic parents. It's a frequency match. It's a magnetic pull. So it's not just this incarnation, it's other incarnation, but suddenly they come in, especially starseeds. Addiction and starseeds, it's like fucking rice and beans. So this is something that you have to like realize. And a basic, and I'm going to say this is very impolitically correct, a basic therapist, just your basic fucking run of the mill, like cha-ching, cha-ching, it's just there, oh, okay, we'll see you on Thursday at 4. And, that kind of, no, you need a therapist that fucking leans in, that gives you advice, that sends you links to articles, shit like that. You need a therapist that wants to know. Honestly, I'd interview, if I were looking for a therapist right now, I would interview them. First thing is, have you ever thought of doing the grandmother medicine? Have you ever done it? Why? Because that shows me this is an expansive, courageous, explorative human being. Okay, great. Then maybe I can have conversation with this person. But this is why many of us who are coaches in the twin flame dynamics, I'm a psychic, I'm a coach, I'm a hypnotherapist. This is why sometimes clients call me, I'm not reading for them. Do I throw cards to clarify? Yes. Do I get downloads? Yes. But is it therapy? Yes. We're talking and navigating the nuances of this connection. It's not just I'm reading tarot, and just throwing cards. No. I've walked this thing all the way to the end of the line, meaning he died. And we were in union when he passed. And there was a lot of forgiveness. There's lots and lots of levels of forgiveness. You know what I mean? Of truth and forgiveness. And the final truth still coming out to this day, by the way. Like I said, the relationship is transformed. It hasn't ended. The conversations continue. The union is getting stronger and stronger. Okay? But my point is that now that he's freed from the body, to give you an example of my twin, he no longer has the addiction. He no longer has being high. He no longer has, I'm going to soften the edges, which went on for 40 years. I'm going to keep softening the edges, right? And now he is fully in his soul's light, and he is fully surrounded by guiding light beings who are showing him, feeding him telepathically information to heal him and to purge some scars that will. And when I say purging some scars, I'm talking about some scars that could bring him back into 3D, and it won't. Now it's an impossible frequency. He's no longer a frequency to 3D. Thank God. Thank fucking God. Now it's not a match. So when people say, I'm never coming back here, well, what have you done to make sure you're not a match? Because see, many of us love this planet. I say this all the time. The planet was never the problem. It was the 1%. I'll just throw that in the mix of this conversation, because part of the twin flame journey, especially with the masculine, is the system that we live in. This pay to live system is also why it's keeping your twin from waking the fuck up to reality of spirituality. You see, when you've got twins working 3 jobs, when one of my clients, he has double masters and a PhD, I'm not joking. He's a construction business. He teaches in a university at night. He's got an ex-wife and 5 kids. Do you get what I'm saying here? He's got a new wife and 2 kids. He's hell-bent on not being in silence to wake up. Do you see this? In terms of this world, oh, he's successful. Look at him. I'd say no, he's failing. Because he's got no relationships with any of those children. He has no relationships with his, you know what I'm saying? In other words, he's involved in how he lives a certain lifestyle and how people see him. Not taking the time, the breather it takes to decompress and doing the dishes and suddenly getting downloads. I remember one of my sessions with this client, she said to me he woke up with tears on his face in the morning, remembering that he didn't know the dream, but he had dreamed of me. And he was shocked because he hadn't cried, and there was no memory of him crying as a man. And that will scare a twin. That will scare a twin to run. Because the love she has for him is unconditional. Excuse me. But what she's doing now, to give you an example of this particular client, she's been with me like 4.5 years, is that she's finally choosing herself above all. Because unless he wakes up out of 3D, out of the fucking hamster wheel of this bullshit system called you pay to live, he won't see her. He's asking the right question. What is it? What is it about you? Why can't I get you out of my mind? Why is it that I want your smell? You can't be out of my life. You just can't disappear. Like begging her almost. She's not going to be his mistress. She's not doing it. And so she's choosing herself. And trust me, this is a painful, this is like ripping the skin off your body type pain. This is beyond words painful. But she can't do it anymore. And so she's actually building herself up to walk away and to, that's it. Come to me when you're divorced. Come to me when you're a free man. Come to me. No other way will you come to me. I will not allow you to come to me unless you are free. That's it. And it's interesting because she was not raised in a toxic family, believe it or not. Christian family. Her father was an amazing man. He was faithful to his, her mother. He was the example of what she wanted out of a man. He died last year. But this man, her father, she has an amazing understanding of what is a good masculine. And in realization, why am I even in love with this fucking asshole? She has a very good family. They're amazingly loyal people. Like, she has the kind of family many would dream to have. So do you see the confusion here? And here she is with a man who loops, who became narcissistic due to his own trauma. And it's crazy, right? And hang on, they're making me do this stupid puzzle again. Does that make sense? So twin flames don't come in because you're always fucked up. She's actually not fucked up at all. Sometimes twin flames come in because it's time. It's just time. You had a great childhood. Life was good. You great parents. You never had any abuse. You'd never been essayed. None of that happened. And here comes this fucking twin to kick everything, kick the hornet's nest. Kind of like the girl who kicks the movie, the girl who kicked the hornet's nest. There comes your twin. And that is, good morning, my love. My twin is addicted to the attention of others in that environment, in any environment. We were both bartenders on Broadway in Nashville. I'm walking away from the money to do my mission. Excellent, my love, Shakina. So it's not, ain't that the damn truth? Yes, this is how I am now, moving away today. That's where I am. I will not meet up in the flesh till he comes correct. I'm adopting the statement as well. Good for you. My situation is totally crazy. Like, exactly. But when you divorce, my friend, Jake, you don't divorce because you think your twin's going to show up. You divorce because the marriage is over. You're like, I'm not playing this. I'm you know what? I'm not playing small. Fuck this marriage. It's not making me happy. I'm not in love with this person. I'm actually blocking her ability to be with someone else. It's a lot. It's a lot of shit. And so you have to make sure. And sometimes the expiration date is like, I tried. I warned. I said, let's go into therapy. I said all of that, right? And it doesn't work. Hopefully you did everything you could. And nothing worked to bring the magic back into the relationship. And be honest, was it magic or was it just comfortable? It could be that your wife is a high-level soulmate and it felt just natural. Well, no shit. Of course it would be natural. You've had thousands of incarnations together. So it's not a shock. So when you decide that you divorce, this is what I tell all my twin flame clients. I say, please do not divorce. Please do not divorce for your twin. Please, God, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't think you're going to bridge into this and that. Does that happen to some of us? Yes. Yes, it does. But is that the norm? Is that your lesson? I don't know. Probably not. Or else you'd be bridging it. You and I wouldn't be talking about, because the doors of your twin flame house would be, come on, baby, just divorce, you're home. Come on, let's move in. Come on, I'll help you pack. But if that's not happening, please don't divorce for your twin. Do not. You're divorcing for yourself. You're divorcing for your own integrity and to actually rediscover yourself and who you really are out of a marriage that doesn't make you feel right? You're doing what you need to do, right? For the greater good. And hopefully that's the case. But if you divorce, hoping that your twin's going to be, at the other side of that door, like you said, you don't know what's going to happen. You're absolutely correct. But magic always happens with massive change. Magic. I mean, look at the movie. I bring a lot of movies to you guys because I want you to see it through transcendental eyes. Under the Tuscan Sun. She doesn't want a divorce. She's in shock, actually. She doesn't want to sell the house. It's her fucking house. It was her mother's house, for Christ's sake, right? And she has this money and she buys this house in Tuscany impulsively. Fuck it, let's just buy it. Right? And she heals. In healing the house, she heals herself. And here walks in love when it's time. Divine appointment. Divine appointments are inescapable. Can you fuck it up with your self-loathing or your self-sabotaging attitude? Yes, but hopefully because you spend time alone, right? You've gone through enough excavation that you know that your little games that you play with yourself because you're not worthy, you don't feel worthy. And so by the time you've gone through the healing journey, which is the dark night of the soul, you'll be able to accept all the magic with gratitude, not self-sabotage. Divine timing is a real thing, and you can't force it. And there are people, 99% of the people on this planet are fear-filled. Fear-filled. And I'm saying 99% because there's a small percentage that are fearless, irreverent, they leap, they do extraordinary things in their lives. They're just telling me to share a story of a guy, a young British man, who decided an experiment where he would go homeless. I mean, not really homeless. He was like, he was homeless. What am I saying? He was homeless. But he thought, well, I'm going to have an experiment. Well, I do not deal with any money. I'm gonna barter, and I'm going to get gifts, but I'm going to barter, like exchange energy or exchange what I can do for this and that and the other. And for 1 year, he actually traveled. I kid you not. I guess somebody bought him a plane ticket to somewhere. And for 1 year, he did not use any currency whatsoever. It was all done through exchange of energy, meaning I'll mow your lawn. I'm just giving you a small example. Or I will build you a shed, or I'll build you a barn, and you give me X, Y, and Z. No money for 1 year. That's fearless shit. And it's irreverent. It's saying, I don't like money. I don't think money is the energy I want to see what happens and so the concept of abundance for him changed, right? And I'm throwing this at you so you understand that these journeys of exploration of all the multiple ways we can actually exist and thrive are there for you, for your taking. You can do what you want, and you will land on your feet. The more fearless you become, the more magic will come and catch you in midair. Magic, constantly. So while you go through the separation and moving away from a marriage that does not align with you anymore, and it is, if you love that person, which I hope you still do, you love them in a sibling way, like a sibling. They're dear to your heart. You wish them only the best. If they need money, you will help them. If they need X, you will be there. But it is a sibling loyalty. It's no longer a beloved's loyalty. And that is, I mean, I hate to say, but that's it. It's over. You know what I mean? And that's really hard for people to accept. And it breaks your own heart. If you have a heart, you're gonna wish you could still love him as a lover. You're gonna wish. You wish you could give them that, but you can't. You can give them everything else that surrounds love, but not sexual love. You can't give them, I am your lover. You can't be their lover. It's over. So you will become their sister or brother. And you will love them with that kind of beautiful, fierce loyalty, and you will be fiercely loyal for them. And I love that because I've seen it in myself with the father of my son. I saw it with, I have a friend of mine who I see that with her and her ex. He was going through a breakup, and she fucking went over his house to make him a beautiful, beautiful meals. He was going through a massive depression, ex-lovers. And she's cooking up, and she's a vegetarian, cooking up beef bourguignon and all kinds of shit that she knows he loves, and froze some food. She loves him the way a woman loves her brother. They're not lovers anymore. They can't be. It's over. Does that make sense? And no girlfriend that he'll have will ever be jealous of her because she is not interested ever of coming back to him as a beloved. They are strictly like brother and sister now. The relationship transformed. And that's something we need to really value because you're still in their life if they want you. and you will support them in any way. There's no children with them, so that's not what's keeping them bonded. But they're from the same soul tribe. And by the way, they're part of my soul tribe, by the way, on the side note. It's funny, all four of us, me, my son, him, her, we're all part of the same soul tribe. And we understand this kind of loving, where it moved from this to now it's that. Interesting, isn't it? And because we are so conditioned by media to be jealous, to envy, to compete, to win at all costs, to prove that, pick me, all that shit, instead of realizing that there's a natural evolution of these relationships. And this is why twin flames stand above all of them, because that connection with your twin, you may not want to make love to your twin, not because you don't want to make love to them, but because you feel unsafe in opening those portals within you. Because if they pull shit again to betray you, you don't want to go through another dark night of the soul. It's more about you protecting yourself than you not wanting to make love to them anymore, if that makes sense. But you still desire them, their smell, the nectar of their touch. It's unlike you're still beloveds. No matter what, you always will be, you always have been, you always will be beloveds, the ultimate beloveds. And it will never turn into a sibling situation like I just described with soulmates. It can't. Does that make sense? I hope it resonates, because that's really the story of the twin flame, unconditional love. Still there to help each other and talk to each other about struggles. Absolutely. And the more we do what we love versus have to work to grind mindset, abundance flows. Yes, exactly. It's all energy. Yes. My twin may not ever divorce. I don't know. If she does, great. If not, I'm still here. Tony, I find myself or whispers in my head out of nowhere asking if my twin loves me. That's your monkey mind, because I don't know what she's going to do. I don't. No, I know. But instead of like being in a place of stagnancy, you can actually work on doing some sex magic and, bringing her forth. I know sex magic is an incredible, powerful tool. It really is. If it didn't work, no one in the dark side or the light side would be using it. It's used in the dark side. Don't get me wrong. It is successfully. And it's used in the light. Like I said, it's like money. It's like tofu. It's like you decide what flavor you want on it. You want to be an asshole? There you go. It'll work with the right attention. It can do. There are people who know what to do, who have very nefarious intent, and they're successful. And there are people who walk in the light, who have light, high vibration, loving intent, and they're very successful. You choose. You choose. You have free will. And to me personally, I think, that's just my opinion. I think being in the light is a lot more pleasant. It feels good. I'm not looking over my shoulder. I feel good. I feel lighter and lighter and lighter. And I gain more power, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Because I know that the one who created us all came from a place of unconditional love and desire. Certainly not in nefarious activities. This is why, I basically reject certain holy books, And now I just found out, again, TikTok, you gotta love it. I had no idea of King James and his little nefarious background. What an asshole. So now it's like, again, so when somebody tells me I'm a biblical scholar as opposed to a scholar, I'm like, oh shit. So the twin flame dynamics is not a new age invention, as you all know. I'm going to throw it out. You guys, here, let me see how many of you know this. Who first wrote about twin flames? I want you to type in the name. Who first wrote about twin flames? I want to know if you know. Okay, this is important to me. Who first wrote about twin flames? Write it down, please. You know? Thank you, Rachel. Plato. Plato first wrote about twin flames. Okay, that's important. So this guilt that some of you who may listen to this recording on my YouTube channel, right? Who feel like this is a new age invention and you're cuckoo crackpots? Yeah, no. No, it's not. And we have been talking about twin flames through Radha Krishna, and they weren't flames, they were rays. The ultimate divine couple. Rama Sita, Isis Osiris, Mary of Magdalena and Yeshua. And names we have forgotten over the ages because of, deluge, wars, and the Vatican taking a lot of ancient scrolls and, kind of hiding it in the coffers, the great library that goes, I forgot how many miles it goes, but it's miles and miles. Are you fucking kidding me? And on a side note, did you know, this is important, did you know that you have to know the book you want to check out before you're even, so you have to write a letter as a scholar saying, a theologian scholar saying, I want this book. You need to know what book you want to come out, check out, instead of like walking down the halls and going, oh my God, look at this scroll. Let me check it out. No, you can't do that there. So they're hiding shit. So it's like not knowing which question to ask because you don't even know that's a question you should ask. So twin flames are, they're telling me to say again, I've said it before, moldavite crystals they're like moldavite crystals. They're very potent. They're very powerful. And when they're in union, it's massive. It can be massive. Magic, just magic and magic and magic again and again. And but also you can be in a twin flame union, meaning you're in living together, right? Which I was, right? For years. And still have a separation based on the monkey mind. The monkey mind, the addiction, those are third party energies that prevent you from being in true union. So you can be in bed, make love, and have those moments of bliss. And then 3 hours later, you're like, what the fuck happened? This person shut down. And that's separation. You can be under the same roof and be in separation. You can actually live separately and be in union. Does that make sense what I'm saying? But to coach, okay, to talk about twin flames, if that person's never lived with their twin for more than 6 months, a year, 2 years, whatever, then they have no business coaching. None. I'm being very blunt. None. Because I've seen, and I talked about her in the past, but I'm going to talk about her again. She's a friend of mine. She's my son's godmother. I've known her for over 30 years. She was in a twin flame journey. And it cost her, and she was a singer, a blues jazz singer. She had songs covered by Chaka Khan and I forgot the other, some other, Jennifer Holliday, right? And she was getting a contract with Sony Records, and she was on that level, right? And she developed throat cancer. They removed a whole part of her left side, throat, jaw. They had to rebuild a jaw. This was all grief. 12 years of holding sacred space for a twin. And so I've seen women get sick and men get extremely seriously sick over holding sacred space for a twin, waiting. And you can't do that. You should never do that. At some point, you got to walk away. And if they grow up and catch up, hopefully you'll be free. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will be in a high-level soulmate connection and it's pure nectar and you guys have such a great time and you're spiritual on the same track and they are your companion in this incarnation and you're like, sadly, have to say, I can't. I would never betray this man or woman. I can't. I'm sorry. We had years where I was free and I will not do this to this person. And I will not do it to myself. Because you'll look at their eyes and realize you're not really healed. You're starting your healing. Here's some books. Here's some things. Let me give you some things for you to go on your journey. But you are not fully there. You are not there yet. And I will not jeopardize what I have for a half-assed offer based on codependency and not true unconditional love. That's transcendental wisdom. Because you have to understand, the seeds you plant sometimes aren't for this incarnation, they're for the next one when you meet your twin. And at that point, they would have gone through some shit. And they come to you. You meet again in another realm frequency, or maybe back on planet Earth. Let's, and the meeting is way better, where you continue your journey together as companions in ascension, meditations, and what have you. I'm not going to throw in little things like keywords like yoga. You might not do yoga at all, but definitely meditations, reading esoteric books, connecting with nature, connecting with yourself, connecting with your starseed brothers and sisters on the other side of the veils. You see, sometimes we plant seeds not for this one, but for the next one. And that's what people don't want. They want the now. Will I be my twin flame now? No. No, because you wouldn't ask that question. No. You'd realize that the twin flame journey was an activation. You'd realize that even if your twin flame's asleep, they will wake up and they will, like I remember we were in separation. So in 2008, we were talking. And I got, like I said, what I, this supposed psychic who knew everything was a fuckery. And that's not why I closed the door. It's because, we had a fight, to be honest. It wasn't me that started. It was him, but I'm not pointing fingers. It was just he got frustrated. And I decided not to speak to him. And then 6 years later, I was power walking, and the marriage was worse than before. My son was much older, and the situation had gotten out of hand. And as I'm power walking in this place, I'd power walked for years, literally 7 or 8 years. I literally felt in my knees as somebody had punched me in the gut, and I had this urgency to write him a goodbye letter saying, "You are the love of my life. I am your eternal consort. I will love you. I hope you found someone fantastic. You deserve everything. You deserve love. You deserve this." Sent him the letter. It was intercepted by a sister who ended up finding him and giving it to him, and he wanted to talk to me right away. And that's when our union began. I was saying goodbye. He wanted to say hello. So we never know. My journey of those 6 years was very important. And to be honest with you, I was still ignorant. By the time I came into union with him, I was still ignorant on many, many things I thought I had worked out because I'd been in therapy, because of my marriage. I wanted to understand why the marriage was collapsing, why. And at the time, my husband did not want to go into therapy. And I remember, I'll never forget saying to him, "If you don't come into therapy with me to save the marriage, these sessions will show me why I should walk away and leave this marriage. So it's up to you." And that was my warning. And that's exactly what happened. I was able to see what was wrong and what I could no longer accept. And it wasn't that he was bad. It wasn't that he also had addictions. I've noticed that very good men, not just fucked up men, fucked up, very good men have been harmed by our pay-to-live system. And very good men have had very toxic, tragic childhood beginnings that have fucked them up so bad, they actually perpetuate the abuse to themselves without a parent's presence anymore. Talking about living in your head free, without paying rent. I'm not saying the saying very well, but I'm tired. And so the complexity of these twin flames are way higher than anything no one can fathom it. And you can't shut yourself down. You can't lobotomize yourself spiritually. You can. It's free will. You can actually say, "Fuck this, I don't want to know this." And that's exactly what happened to me for 6 years. For 6 years, I was like angry at him. Angry at what he demanded of me. He was demanding me to not be mediocre anymore. Stop being mediocre. Stop playing small. Stop playing safe. You're full of shit. You're afraid of expanding yourself. And he didn't say that. The vibrations of my discontent, my melancholy was saying that to me. And eventually it physically took me down to my knees. So trust me, your twin, as long as they're living and breathing in 3D, they'll reach out to you. Could be in 6 years, could be in 10, could be whatever. It doesn't matter. It's never too late. It actually is never too late. And that's what you need to understand. Okay? Let me see any comments. She has flashbacks of past lives with us, and she's still married. I don't know. I hope to God she wakes up too. Thank you, thank you, Jennifer. I've been wearing my Moldavite necklace on for the last week. Yeah, be careful with that. Try to soften it up with kunzite. Anyway, any other questions or comments? Thank you very much for being here. There's a lot of dynamics that are very different for all of you. They're supposed to be different. You're not my thumbprint. I'm not yours. You don't have my karma. I don't have yours. Thank God. Let's not mesh karmas. But ultimately, there are certain highlights that we all share. And one of them is the intensity of these connections and how incredibly, like, the level of depression, the level of I want to get out of this sack suit right away because I can't breathe without my twin is a real thing. And we're not insane. In fact, many of us are strong, passionate, intelligent, successful. We're not stupid. Okay? So, but there is an agenda in society, right, to denigrate our journeys for a purpose, and the purpose is divide and conquer. We've seen the gender wars. We saw what they've done with Mary Magdalene and Yeshua. This is why many of us who are not Christian at all are excavating that story, because we know it represents the ultimate twin ray connection in the last 2,000 years. We know, and our question is, why would you guys do that? Why would you actually separate these two and teach us that Mary was a whore, for example, and teach us that he died for our sins, and teach us this whole story that now is being questioned, and now bring in the Knights Templars to find out why, what were they protecting? Because it wasn't a fucking little cup, I'll tell you that. It was not a cup. You know, the Holy Grail. It was not the cup. Not at all. So we've been, it's almost like telling a toxic fairy tale to a 3-year-old and brainwashing them with that toxic fairy tale. And I think you can relate to that because you can see cults and children raised in cults and how they were brainwashed into believing that X, Y, and Z was okay. And then they broke away going, holy fuck, I was being abused. I was being brainwashed. I was being destroyed. There's a wonderful woman who was in a cult that I'm not going to get into details because I'll be stripped here on this live, but just wherever your mind's going about, you're in the right direction. And she was a kid and she was in a cult, and her name was Sam Isidore, I believe. I think it was Sam Isidore. Beautiful woman, like, you know, in shape, dark hair, large almond eyes, amber eyes, I think. And she was a sex advocate because of what she had gone through with those members of that family cult, okay? And she escaped at 15, and God knows what she had to do to survive, as you can just imagine. A street kid, a beautiful woman like that, a kid. And she was a sex advocate, was teaching people all that. She was an amazing speaker. You can look her up. And she committed suicide at the age of 40. She couldn't do it anymore. She could not block out that looping of those flashback memories. Early childhood is what is impacting your twin's runner feelings. If your twin was raised in a narcissistic dynamic, your twin will either become a narcissist or an empath, meaning a psychic. One of those two things will evolve out of that toxic cultish machine. And that's why I get so fucking pissed when I hear people going, if it's your twin, it wouldn't do this, it wouldn't do that. Yeah, it would. Because ultimately your soul that is on a higher frequency, fell into 3D, had an incarnation in this blood and bone sack, and was conditioned, harmed. And then when it was spat out into the world at the age of 18, 19, 20, it made choices based on fear, self-loathing, self-sabotage, because the tapes were still running in their head. And then you walk in. So I keep repeating that for a reason, because it is serious. That's why I have a really hard time with what some of these coaches say to people, because it's harming people. It's making people think like they're stupid, crazy, codependent, obsessed, sick in the head. That's not it. You never ghost your twin. And I have tons of videos and lives where I talk in detail as to why. I'm not going to repeat myself here because, yeah. But ultimately, your journey will be more often than not alone. And then there are moments where, like I had the nectar of being with my twin for years. We lived together. And we had nectar, lots of it. Lots of hell, lots of nectar. Lots of hell, lots of nectar while we lived together. And that was important. All of it. Do I regret some of it? My mortal consciousness does, but my soul does not. Because my soul knew that we had to be beaten on the anvil of life, of this life, to right the wrongs, to express and destroy some of the habits that we had incurred under the concept of some scars, impressions that still cling to you from incarnation to incarnation. Attitudes about women, attitudes about men. Our society in the last 2,000 years has disrespected the sacred feminine. And I've been a man before. When I say that, I'm not, and we've disrespected the way men can love. Men, when they love utterly and completely. When women love, they love utterly and completely. Men can do it too. And there's been an agenda in the last 3 years of destroyed the twin flame concept as new age bullshit and destroying the sacred masculine as they all cheat, they're all full of shit, they're all incapable, I choose the fucking bear. There's been agendas. Why? Well, because twin flames in union are fucking incomparable and powerful, and they can change the dynamic of a whole fucking society. Mark my word. Why am I saying that? Look at the evidence. Mary Magdalene and Yeshua. 2 people who are now being rediscovered. Changed a whole Western culture for 2,000 years. And as symbols, manipulated by the toxic patriarchy. So am I full of shit or what? 2 people did it. Am I wrong? No. So that means, and I know I'm not wrong. I'm not even asking for your opinion. You know why? Because I don't give a shit. Because I know I'm right. Why? One person is important. 1. Joan of Arc, Hitler, General Patton, Jimmy Carter. And the list goes on and on and on. One person, one fucking person. Arthur Rimbaud, who was a poet who stopped writing poetry in 19, changed a whole beatnik culture of American poetry. French poet. 100 years after his death. One person, imagine 2, in love with each other, in frequency match with each other. The masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang. Wow. Fuck yes. That's power. And they don't want it. They don't want it. There's an agenda. We become fierce in trying to work with the energies to connect with our guides, to destroy the separations that are running and creating the dynamics of the runner chaser in your incarnations right now. That means you go into your meditation and you start communicating with your guides, and you you figure out, what do I need to heal or release? Like, for example, Jake said she remembers past lives. Well, I'm sure she told you the details. What were the problems? Go heal that. This is why I love hypnotherapy. When I have clients that do hypnotherapy, sometimes they'll connect with their twin, sometimes they won't. They'll connect with completely different things that show them how powerful they are to do anything they fucking want. It literally, it's like hacking out of your life as Jennifer, Jill, Daniel, David. You go into your past life as in hypnotherapy and you're like, holy fuck, I can do anything. I used to be this. I used to do this. That's right. So it's brainwashing, and I keep using that line because it's you're brainwashing the brainwashing. You're washing the brain from the brainwashing that harm you to such a level that you don't know what to do in 3D. Well, there's nothing you can do in 3D. Actually, secret. Wow, what a shock. No, everything you need to do has to be in high dimensional frequency. It has to be, like you said, you got to elevate out of the 3D and connect in 5, 6, 7D, 9D to reset everything. And it can be very, very painful. It's funny, my throat is killing me. I haven't had my coffee, tea, or anything. But anyway, hopefully this helps. Our twin rays and kingdom spouses. I don't even know what kingdom spouses are. I'm sorry. I have no clue. Not a clue. Be careful you're not using orthodox names for, you know what I mean? Anyway, hi, love. When that happens, I always bring myself back to me. It always works. And then he's there. Exactly. Perpetual lies feed greed. Absolutely. Anyway, so I'm going to go. I want to thank you all. Thank you all for saying Plato, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was important for that to be shown. You saw, right? So when you think that you're not important, that you're crazy, that twin flames is a new age construct, think again. Okay, this is why little by little I'm putting together a book on star seeds and Akashic readings and what happens and where we were and what we did and how we first fell. And some of us actually didn't even fall. We decided that, you know, what the hell, let's go in and experience this. Well, you'll be lost for like 13,000 years. That's okay. It's just a blink of an eye. It's time. Time is insane. All right, so much love. I can't wait for that book. It's going to be magical and healing. I think it's going to be really, yeah. I need to get a new computer because mine's literally falling apart. It's like, because I can't have anything, you know, disappear. When I write a book, I'll write chapters and I will email them to myself. Do you know what I'm saying? This is how, like, and I have 3 emails. So no matter what, I will always find the book if my system crashed or whatever. But I do need something. I need to get a new computer because right now I'm writing and I'm gathering the notes and so forth. For now, I have the book Recall, which you guys can buy. It's on my Linktree profile. You can go directly to that. If you've read it, please review it. Hopefully, you'll give it a 5-star. Because it's a book that helps people. I know that. I've seen that. I've had people tell me that. And then I have the breast cancer book, which I haven't put on that Linktree because I don't know. I should actually put it on. I just don't want to put too much shit on my Linktree, to be honest with you. But anyway, all right. Thank you for your insight this morning. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you very much. All right. Oh, it's over. I can't wait for the book. Welcome. Thank you very much. All right. Oh, it's over. I can't wait for the book. Okay. Anyway, much love. Okay. Have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you soon. It's snowing a blizzard today, so I think I'll be staying in. All right, much love. Namaste.